Hi, I'm Paula from Happy Yoga Wales, and this is a Yin to Vin yoga practice that is perfect for the morning. So this practice will be suitable for absolutely everybody. I'm actually doing this in the afternoon, a very windy afternoon, hence the stones on my yoga mat. But this is the ideal thing to do in the mornings. We start slowly with some passive stretches, holding them for about 2 minutes each, and then moving into a gentle flowing vinyasa style. So suitable for all levels, you don't need any props, and we're going to start today in a seated position. So come and sit however is comfortable for you. If you prefer to sit on a block here to lengthen out of the low back, then go ahead and do that. I don't have one today. And then bring the right leg in front of you, so the legs are just crossed here. And then rolling the shoulders back, reaching tall through the crown of the head. Just take a big breath in here. And then exhale, sigh out of the mouth. And do one more, just like that, inhaling in. And exhaling out. And then keeping all that length in the spine, we're just going to bring the fingertips out in front of us and walk the fingers forwards, just any amount here. So we're pressing the hips back and concentrating on lengthening out of the low back. And just dipping the chin slightly, pausing here. So we're not going to hold this one too long, just warming up a little bit through the hips. Breathing deeply into the belly. And then walking the hands back towards the legs. So our first yin pose is going to be a fire log pose. So if fire log isn't accessible for you, then you can come back to this cross-legged position, making sure there's no pain in the knees. So we never want any pain in our yoga practice. However, if you are comfortable and the knees feel good, then you're going to keep the left shin parallel to the edge of the mat. Flexing the foot so the toes are coming back towards the knees, and then bring your right leg on top. So we're trying to stack the shins here so the shins are directly on top of each other. And again, flexing the feet. I've got my socks on here so it's a little bit chilly today. And then pushing the hips back to find that length again out of the low back. So the pelvis is just tilting forward slightly. So if the knee's up here, that's absolutely fine. Again, as long as there's no pain in the knees. So you'll feel this probably through the outer hip, and just allow the body here to settle, relaxing into our pose. So our yin practice is a passive practice, really just letting gravity, time, open up the body gently. If you feel like you've got a little bit more space available, if it's not much of a stretch for you where you are, then lengthen one more time out of the low back and then walk the fingertips forward. So wherever you are, whether you're here or in just a cross-legged position. Dipping the chin, maybe even closing the eyes. So really working with the hips today. All of our poses are going to focus on opening up through all areas of the hips and moving them in all directions. Breathing deeply into the belly. And then let's take a big breath in here. Fill all the way up, let the belly expand. And exhale, sigh it out. One more, take a big breath in. And let it all go. Keeping the chin tucked in, walk the fingertips back towards the shins if they were reached out in front of you, and just stack the shoulders back above the hips. So to come out of this, we're just going to so maybe leaning backwards slightly on the hands, and just let that foot slide over the top of the left thigh. So your right foot is over the top now. And then again, you might want to stay here. This might be enough. If you've got a little bit more movement there to play with, you could start to stack the knees on top of each other. And again, this is something that not everybody will find accessible, so just working with your own body, never forcing, never pushing. and just finding that place that feels good for you. So sometimes you'll see people with their feet further away from the hips, so they're more parallel with the edge of the mat. Personally, I prefer to keep the feet tucked in close to the hips when the knee joint is closed. It's just a little bit safer on the knees. So again, pushing the hips back so that the pelvis tilts forwards, lengthening out of the spine, and just staying here either with the fingertips on the ground or walking forwards. Or if you want to stay upright and get a little bit of a stretch into the upper body, we can take the left arm up with the pinky finger facing forward, reaching out of the waist, and then just let the elbow bend and let the hand hang behind the head here. So you can stay here, again, nice passive stretch for the triceps. Or if you want to, you could take the right arm out, thumb to the ground, bring the arm in close to the torso, and then bend the elbow. Now my hands are nowhere near each other, and they don't need to be in order to feel the stretch here. So we're always trying to find space in the body, listening to what we need, never pushing, never forcing. And then taking a big breath in on your next inhale. And exhale it out with a smile. Releasing the arms, take one more big breath in. And exhale, let it go. Lovely. So we're going to keep the left foot tucked in and just release the right leg. So bending that knee, bringing it out in front of you. And we're going to stretch the right leg out long. So the left foot comes into the inner thigh, and again, picking up the hips, pressing the hips towards the back of the room or the space that you're in, and then flexing the right toes so they come back towards the shin. Reach tall, and then turn the shoulders towards that straight leg. This might be enough of a stretch, enough sensation. If you want a little bit more, if it feels comfortable, you can start to fold forward, just any amount here. And if you've got a block, a bolster or some pillows at home, then popping them here just to rest the forearms and the head on is a really nice place to be. Otherwise, just resting here. And knowing that it takes time, it takes stillness for our nervous system to relax, to re-energize, and also for our muscles to switch off so that this stretch or this stress can go into the connective tissues, which is what we're working with in our yin practice. So giving yourself this time and space just to be still. And then taking our last 2 breaths here, take a big breath in when you're ready. And exhale, sigh out. One more big breath in. And let it go. And then using the hands, walk yourself back upright if you were folded forwards. And then when the shoulders come back above the hips, bring the hand underneath that straight leg and draw it in towards you. I'm losing the sun here, it's a bit of a shame. So before we take the other side, bring the fingers, hips behind you, and just leaning back gently into the shoulders. Take the knees over to one side, and then windscreen wiper them over to the other side. Noticing any differences from one side to the other. I'll Okay, so we're going to set up for our fire log pose on the other side. So bringing the right foot in front this time, so the shin is parallel with the edge of your mat. And again, if you prefer to take that cross-legged position, then just come in here first. So bringing the shin in line with the edge of the mat, and then stacking the other leg on top. So the feet are flexed, so the toes are drawn back towards the shins. And that's just a little safer on the knees. See if we can relax the feet once they're in that position. And again, settling in. So this might feel quite different to the other side. It certainly does for me. So see if we can approach each side, each pose, without any judgment, without any expectations of what it should be like, what it should feel like, what it should look like. So just breathe in here. And as the body starts to open up, maybe reaching tall through the crown of the head and walking those fingertips forward, just any amount. Pressing the hips back and dipping the chin. Again, if you've got your pillows handy, this is a nice place to put them underneath the head. And then coming into our last 2 breaths here, take a big breath in. And exhale, let it go. One more big inhale. And sigh it out. Walking the fingertips back in towards the legs, stacking the shoulders above the hips. So bringing your right foot in towards the left hip, and then let the left foot come on over the top. So again, you might be in this kind of twisted position here, so the knee is raised, that's absolutely fine. Or maybe you've got a little bit more space to wiggle into something a little bit more like this. So again, just being really mindful of the knees. And tucking the feet in. Again, this side feels very different to me, so I'm sure it might feel different to you. Or maybe you're perfectly balanced. Let me know in the comments if you are. So you can stay here, or we can take that stretch for the upper body on the other side. So the right arm comes up, reaching the fingertips up, and the pinky finger faces forward, bending the elbow. Just let that hand hang behind the head. And you can stay here, or you can stretch the left arm out, thumb facing down, bringing the arm close to the body, and then bending the elbow. Just finding a place that feels good. And just being mindful of the neck here, making sure you're not pressing the head forward, so we're still finding all of that length through the spine. And on your next inhale, take a big breath in. Exhale, as you sigh it out, release the arms down. And take one more big breath here. And exhale, let it go. Nice. So bringing your left foot out to the side of you here. Oh, that feels juicy, releasing that stretch. So pushing the hips back, letting the pelvis tilt forwards. Bring the right foot into the inner thigh. And feel free to wiggle around a little bit here, even opening at the thighs. Finding that place where you feel good. Reaching tall through the crown, turning the shoulders to the straight leg. And then this might be enough, or you might want to start to fold forwards just any amount. Relaxing through the toes and the foot of that left leg. Relaxing through the hips. And this is our last yin posture before we start to move just a little bit to energize and get ready for our day. And coming into our last few breaths here. And when you're ready, taking that big breath in. Exhale, let it go. One more big breath. And sigh it out. And then using the hands for support, bringing them back towards the hips. And then from here, we're just going to bring your hand underneath that straight leg, bringing the knees in and finding some of our windscreen wipers one more time. So leaning back on the hands, letting the knees come to one side and then over to the other. Taking some nice, deep, steady breaths here. And then crossing over the ankles and just rolling onto face the ground. So we're coming into a tabletop position. So bringing the wrists underneath the shoulders, moving your stones out of the way if you've got any there, and the knees under the hips. Spread the fingers wide so the index finger faces straight ahead. Now I've got my socks on. We're only going to come into a couple of standing poses, so I'm going to keep them on. It's a little bit chilly. If you're wearing socks, you might want to take them off now. So we're going to inhale, let the belly come down, and chest come forwards into cow pose. And exhale, draw the belly button in, press the ground away, gaze back towards the thighs, into cat. Taking a few more of these. Inhale, belly down, chest forwards, broad through the collarbones. Exhale, draw the belly in, push the ground away, lift and separate the shoulder blades. Inhale, belly down into cow. And exhale, lifting up into our cat pose, and pause in here, take an extra breath and an exhale, tucking the toes under, take a breath in and then exhale, lifting the hips and finding our first downward facing dog. So feel free to take the feet back a little bit. You can keep the heels lifted, bending the knees as much as you want to, but pressing really firmly into the fingertips, thinking about bringing the armpits towards each other. So it's like you're trying to wrap them towards each other. Take another breath, lifting a little bit higher through the hips. And then exhale, press the thighs behind you. Maybe the heels will sink a little bit down towards the floor. And then from here, we're going to bring our left foot forwards in between the hands. So setting up for our low lunge Anjaneyasana. So just moving here a little bit first, letting the hips wiggle around. exploring how the hip socket is feeling, how the hip joint is feeling. And then bringing that back knee down, stack your front knee directly above the ankle, bring the left hand onto the top of the thigh, and then inhale, bringing the shoulders directly above the hips. You might need to readjust that front foot so your knee's over the ankle one more time. And then draw that front hip back so we're squaring the hips towards the front of the mat. It's getting a bit breezy here. Inhale, sweep the arms up. Or you can keep the hands on the hips. Reaching through the right fingertips, just let the left hand float down. You can stay here, or you can bring the left hand to the waist and just gently press the left hand into the waist so the hips move over to the right. So you'll feel a stretch here through the front of that right thigh, maybe all the way up the side of the torso. One more breath. And then inhaling back through center. Exhale, float the hands down, bringing them to the inside of your left foot. And then tucking the toes under, lift that back knee, and we're just going to pivot around here. So we're going to turn and face the long edge of our mat. Turning the feet as we go. So both outside edges of both feet are parallel with the short edges of your mat. This is our wide-legged forward fold. So pressing firmly into the feet, just relaxing the torso, let the head be heavy, hanging down here. Bringing the hands underneath the face, about shoulder width apart, and see if you can squeeze the elbows towards each other, broadening through the upper back. So these inversions where our head is below the heart are really energizing, waking us up in the morning. And keep pressing into the feet, a little bit of engagement in the thighs. We're just going to crawl our fingertips forwards as we press the hips back into a wide-legged downward facing dog. Again, lots of length through the spine, breathing deeply. And then walking the hands back in underneath the shoulders and coming round towards the front of the mat, finding our low lunge one more time. Framing out the front foot, and then step that foot back to meet the back foot, coming into our downward facing dog. If you want to take a vinyasa here, then go ahead. I'm not going to take any this morning or this evening as it is for me. Taking a couple more breaths here. And then let's go ahead and take that on the other side. So picking up your right foot, step the foot in between the hands. Finding your low lunge here, your runner's lunge. Just moving through the hips. You can keep the back knee lifted or let it come down, whatever feels best for you. Noticing the difference here from one side to the other. And then stacking that front knee directly above the ankle, bring your right hand to the thigh and then bring the torso up. You might need to readjust that front foot and then draw the front hip back, squaring yourself off towards the front of your mat. Staying here with the hands on hips, or inhale, sweep the arms up. Take a big breath in. And then exhale, float the right hand down. Find all that length through the left side of the body, keeping the shoulders nice and relaxed. Maybe bringing the right hand to the waist and just pressing gently. And then releasing the right hand, inhaling both arms up one more time. And then exhale, bring the fingertips down in front of you this time. Tucking the back toes under. We're just going to pop forwards and find our yogi squat, malasana. So find a little bit of momentum and then bring that left foot forwards to meet the right. Toes are turned out here at a 45-degree angle. And then sink the hips down any amount. So again, not being too worried about what these poses look like, what mine look like. Just moving in a way that feels good to you. Maybe pausing in stillness, either with the heels lifted or heels down. Maybe bringing the hands to heart center or keeping the fingertips on the ground. Wherever you are, reaching through the crown of the head, relaxing the shoulders away from the ears. Take a big breath into the belly. And then from here, we're just going to bring one hand behind us and one in front and let the hips come all the way down to the mat. And then crossing the legs in front of you. So we got your left leg in front this time. Reaching tall through the crown of the head. Inhale, sweep the arms up. As we exhale, we're just going to twist here. So bring the left hand down to the right knee and the right hand behind you, just as a little prop stand here. So reaching tall through the crown of the head, relaxing the shoulders down. Breathe deeply into this twist. And then inhale, reaching the hands up. And exhale, twist in the opposite direction. So because this is a morning class, we're not going to take a Shavasana today, but if you prefer to do so, then please go ahead and do that. Otherwise, inhaling, reaching the fingertips up high. Exhale, bringing the hands through heart center and just pausing here. Pressing the thumbs against the sternum. Sitting tall. Feel free to close the eyes if that feels good. And just notice how you feel. And then let's take a big breath in all together, inhaling through the nose. And exhale, sigh out with a smile. And let's do that one more time. Big breath in. And let it go. Well, thank you so much for practicing with me. My yoga mat didn't blow away, so I'm very pleased about that. If you've enjoyed this practice, then please do let me know down in the comments. And of course, remember to like and subscribe. Head on over to happyyoga.wales if you haven't already, and subscribe to my mailing list there, and you'll find out all about all the other exciting things that we're doing, from laughter yoga to yin restorative. And I look forward to seeing you again very soon on the mat. Namaste.